Colour pencil blending. Here's some resources you might need. So make sure you've got all your resources ready and you've printed out a copy of the colour pencil blending template. Make sure you've got the colour wheel to hand because we're going to be referring to this throughout. Now we're going to be focusing on cool colours and warm colours. Now you can see the cool colours are the ones with blues and greens up till yellow, and the warm colours, so red based, we've got red, violets and oranges. On our template we've got warm colours across the top and cool colours across the bottom. Now for each colour we're going to delve a little bit deeper. So each colour, for example here we've got red, can have a cooler version of red or a warmer version of red, depending on whether you're mixing it in with a cool colour or a warm colour. Now for each colour we're going to explore blending. Now blending within a warmer version of itself or blending with a cooler version of itself. So let's start off with the very first block. We've got red. Now if you look at the bottom of that block, we've got red orange and it moves to red violet. Now we're going to practice our blending and blend our orange and our violet in with this colour. So when you're going to look at this block, you're going to see it change from a reddy orange to red and then to a red violet colour. Now I'm starting by placing a layer of pencil, just red, across the whole of the box, nice and lightly, so that I can blend another colour pencil over the top of it. Now I've picked up my orange here and I'm starting on the left hand side and I'm just starting to build up that colour very lightly, pressing harder towards one end and then drifting off a little bit lighter towards the middle. And I'm going to go backwards and forwards from my red to my orange pencil, orange being a warmer version of our colour, and then going to our cooler end and mixing in a violet within the red to create a red violet. Now again you can see I'm just putting that layer of pencil really lightly over the top. And I can just build up that depth of colour by adding layer upon layer, going from my red pencil back to my other coloured pencils to blend it all together. Now you can see I'm starting to increase the pressure a little bit more now with my red. I'm trying to blend those cooler colours and those warmer colours from either side of that block. Now it doesn't particularly matter if I go over the lines. This isn't a keeping within the lines contest. This is a blending exercise, but I guess I have just out of habit. Now if you remember back to a previous tutorial, we're looking also at harmonious colours. So our red orange, our red and our red violet are all three colours sitting next to each other on the colour wheel, and therefore they are harmonious. But for this exercise, what we're doing is we're focusing our comparison against the warm colours and cooler colours, but also the fact that each colour can have a warmer version or a cooler version of that colour. You're going to be able to complete each colour block yourself. There is a little annotation underneath each one detailing which coloured pencils you're going to be using, and there is a completed exemplar at the end of the tutorial and in your guidebook as well. Now we're going to just, for an additional exercise, complete this circle at the bottom of the page. So choose a colour. I'm going to go with the colour red as that's my first exemplar. And I'm just adding a little swatch next to each colour title. So I've added red, I've got a warm colour and a cool colour next to it, and I'm just going to blend in those warm and cool colours with my red pencil as well. So I've got my red, red orange and red violet, and we're going to turn this circle into a sphere by making it look more 3D using our colour red and a warm version of it and a cooler version of it. Now I've sped up this bit of the tutorial, but you can see I'm laying down my base colour red to start off with, and the way I'm colouring in is following that curved line of the outline, and that's just to help make the image look more curved and represent this rounded sphere that I'm trying to create. Now I'm going very, very light around towards the right hand side. I'm imagining my light source coming from the top right hand corner. So my shadowing effect is going to be towards the bottom left hand of my sphere. Now I've finished with my very first layer, and now I'm going to start with a warmer colour, and that's going to be adding my orange towards the image. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm starting off towards the middle right hand, and I'm adding this warm colour orange over the top of my red sphere. I'm going to apply the pencil darker towards the bottom left hand side, and just adding layer upon layer, moving my pencil in the direction of a curved line, creating an increasingly tighter circle as I get closer to that highlighted area, which is still very, very light in colour. I'm now going to get my red pencil, and I'm building up that layer, increasing the depth of colour or the value of colour, and just adding that additional layer of red back over, increasing the depth, particularly towards the bottom left hand side of the sphere, building in that depth of colour. Now I've printed this template out on normal copy paper actually, but if you wanted to be a little bit fancy, you could try printing it out on maybe a slightly heavier weighted paper. Something with a bit of texture tends to grip the pigment from the pencils a little bit easier. It's got a bit of a tooth on it, and helps build up the colour rather than normal copy paper where it's quite light and shiny. Now I'm picking up my cooler version. I've got my violet pencil that I'm mixing on top of the red to create a violet red colour. And again, I'm building that depth. I'm starting from that bottom left hand side of the sphere. Still colouring in the same direction of that curved line, just to add to that rounded appearance. Now when it comes to colouring pencils, I have tried quite a few. I would say a decent tin of colouring pencils is a worthwhile investment. I've got a lovely tin that I've had for over 20 years and still use to this day. So it can be a bit of an investment piece. But I do have styler pencils which work quite well. The ones that I'm using at the moment, these ones are Faber-Castell, which I particularly love just because of the pigmentation and the depth of colour that you're able to get from it. But you're still able to use ordinary pencils to be able to do this task as well. It just may take a little bit of time to build up that depth of colour and a bit of pressure to be used to ensure that the pigment is lovely and strong. Now I'm going back to my red colour after using the violet pencil, again building up another layer of depth of colour. I'm making sure my highlight is delicate, using a very, very faint layer of red over that highlighted area, and just using a tiny area to keep light. I might even add a shadow to my sphere, again adding to the realistic nature of the sketch. And I'm going to use my cooler colours to help me with that. I'm going to use my violet and my red to create my red violet. And just remembering where my imaginary light source is coming from in the direction of that highlight, so top right hand side, and therefore anything behind that sphere across the other side is going to create a shadow. Now for this shadow I'm going to use another colour to add to it. So I'm going to add a complementary colour. So red's complementary colour is green. It's the opposite side of the colour wheel that you just seen. And I'm just going to add a very light layer of green over that red. Complementary colours are quite interesting really. If you add a complementary colour to its original colour, so for example green added on to red, it really dulls down the brightness of that colour. So that's just an interesting fact about complementary colours and useful to know, particularly when it comes to painting. But here's my example. I hope you find this a useful exercise for you.